Welcome to our video lesson on order of operations with exponents. Now let's do a quick review of the rules of order of operations with exponents. So we talked about in class how it's BEDMAS, or maybe you like to call it PEMDAS, and that's perfectly fine too, or there's even GMA. All work, but the one we usually talk about is BEDMAS. And we talked about how it is in this order because it's going from the most powerful operation, being exponents, down to the least powerful operations, addition and subtraction. Now, why do we have brackets up here? Brackets are so that we can change the order. So don't forget that brackets are to change the order of operations. The other thing to keep in mind is that division and multiplication have the same strength as operations. So when we do division and multiplication, if they're in the same line, we're going to do them from left to right. What that means is if we have both division and multiplication together, it doesn't matter. We always do the one that comes first in line first. And the same is true with addition and subtraction. We do them from left to right. All right, let's get started with some examples. The first two are pretty straightforward. Again, remember it's BEDMAS, so we need to think of the order. Okay, are there any brackets? No, there's no brackets, so we don't worry about brackets. Are there exponents? Yes. So the next thing we're going to do are our exponents. Be sure you write your equal signs over here like I am doing to make sure it's nice and neat. So the first thing we do is our exponent, which is our 2. So what's 3 to the power of 2? 3 to the power of 2 gives me 9. Plus again, 3 to the power of 2. 3 to the power of 2 is 9. So I have 9 plus 9, which gives me 18. And again, I wrote both my equal signs, and notice how they are lined up in a line. You need to do that as well. Keep everything nice and neat and tidy with your equal signs lined up. All right, our next one is 2 plus 7 to the power of 2 minus 11. All right, we do parentheses or brackets first. Our brackets have 2 plus, we'll do this first, the 2 plus the 7. So after I do 2 plus 7, I get 9. And so I have 9 to the power of 2 minus 11. The next thing I'm going to do, the next most powerful one, is my exponent. So I have 9 to the power of 2, which is 81. Minus 11. The last operation is my subtraction, and this subtraction is kind of interesting. I have 81 and I have 11. Well, if I take 1 away from both of those, I have 80 minus 10. So I took 1 away from 81 and made it 80, and 11, I took 1 away from it and made it 10. So I can quickly do this in my head, and I know 80 minus 10 is 70. Okay, let's do some more challenging examples. Number 3 has lots of exponents in it. So we have 7 to the power of 3 minus 3 times negative 4 to the power of 3. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, we have brackets, so we have to do the brackets first, talking about these brackets here. But these aren't actually meant to be brackets. They're just a way to write the negative number so that we know it's a negative. So we're actually just going to do our exponents first. So the first thing I'm going to do is 7 to the power of 3. And 7 to the power of 3 gives me 343. Then I have that minus 3 times negative 4 to the power of 3. So now I have 343 minus 3 times negative 4 to the power of 3. Okay, in this whole term right here, the first thing I'm going to look at is my exponent. So the first thing I am going to do is figure out what negative 4 to the power of 3 would give me. Now this 3 stays the same, and the only thing that's going to change is what's inside my parentheses here. So I enter negative 4 to the power of 3 into my calculator, and that gives me negative 64. Now be careful that you entered it in properly using it inside the parentheses. My next line, Now I have subtraction and multiplication. So my next most powerful one is multiplication. So I'm going to do this multiplication first. So I have 343 minus 3 times negative 64. And 3 times negative 64 gives me negative 192. I'm writing it inside the brackets here because we got a negative number, and because of the math grammar rules, we can't put a negative beside a negative. So then I have 343 minus negative 192. And when I see that minus negative, I know it can really be changed into a plus sign. So my answer is 535, which is 343 plus 192. Okay, number 4. In number 4, again, we have lots of negatives and lots of exponents and some brackets in there. So let's see what we're going to do first. Okay, so I'm looking for brackets, and I don't have anything written inside my brackets here. It's not like 4 plus 7 to the power of 2. There's no operations inside the brackets except for one. The one operation we have inside our brackets in this situation is this one here. So let's start with that one. I have 9 plus negative 2 to the power of 3 minus 2, and then I have negative 6 to the power of 2 inside my brackets. Negative 6 to the power of 2 isn't saying negative 6 to the power of 2. The negative is out front as a coefficient, and the 6 is attached to the 2. So this actually means negative 1 times 6 times 6. And that is going to give me negative 36. My next job is my other exponent, which is right here. So my next line will be 9 plus negative 2 to the power of 3, which is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which gives me negative 8. Minus 2 times negative 36. My next step is my multiplication. It's my next most powerful thing over here. So I'd have 9 plus negative 8, and then minus whatever 2 times negative 36 is. And 2 times negative 36 is going to give me negative 72. Be very careful in here when you're writing your negatives. If you get a negative answer, you have to make sure you write the negative sign. If you chose that this should be negative 2 out front here, you need to make sure you add a plus sign in here. But if you didn't choose to do it that way, like I didn't choose to do it, we just continue to do it normally. So then I have 9 plus negative 8 minus negative 72. And I can do that all together at one time, and that is 9 plus negative 8 gives me 1. And then I have 1 minus negative 72. Now again, these two cancel each other out and make my plus sign. So I have 1 plus 72, which gives me 73. Okay, one last one over here. This one has a whole bunch of brackets and exponents. My first step is to do whatever is inside my brackets. And my first set of brackets that I see are these ones out here. So that's saying do everything inside here first and then multiply or put it to the power of 2. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do inside my brackets is this exponent. So I'm going to start by writing my big brackets outside. And what's negative 7 to the power of 2? Well, that's negative 7 times negative 7, which gives me positive 49. Minus whatever negative 2 to the power of 6 is. And again, the negative is included inside with that 2. So it would be negative 2 times negative 2, and so on. That will give me 64. All of that to the power of 2. Because I still have brackets, the next thing I'm going to do is the subtraction that is inside the brackets there. So I have 49 minus 64, which is going to give me negative 15 to the power of 2. Last thing I do is negative 15 times negative 15, which gives me 225. That's all the examples I have for you today. I hope you have a better understanding of how to complete order of operations with exponents. That's all for now. I'll talk to you later.